in Dallas, it was time to be introduced to Brian Schottenheimer. Now, we've been waiting for this move to be made. It seemed like this was the direction Dallas was leaning, and sure enough, Schottenheimer is Jerry Jones' choice. So Todd Archer covers the Cowboys. He was in the room today, a very interesting press conference. We've already heard some of it. Todd, you caught up with Schottenheimer after he was introduced. What did he have to say?
Yeah, Laura, I think you'll like this. When he was at Florida playing quarterback, he kept a card in his wallet, said that one day he'll be the head coach. He'll be the youngest head coach in NFL history. Well, he's now 51 and 25 years in experience as an assistant coach. He's getting his first chance, 10th coach of the Cowboys, 9th son to join his dad as a head coach in the NFL. And while Marty Schottenheimer was not able to get to a Super Bowl, Brian Schottenheimer said he believes the Cowboys can get there quickly.
The objective and the main thing is we want to win a Super Bowl. And my dad always talked about that. He said, well, why would you have any other goals? It should be about winning the Super Bowl. And only one team does it, but that doesn't mean you don't strive for that. And I think one of the things about me taking over this prestigious position is we can hit the ground running pretty fast because I don't need to learn the decision makers. I don't need to learn the quarterback. I don't need to learn how things work. And so I feel like we're kind of ahead of the curve with some of these other teams that made changes.
It's Brian Schottenheimer, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Brian, thanks.
Thanks.
Well, Laura, you look at Brian Schottenheimer where he is now. He will not be going to Mobile for the Senior Bowl this week with Jerry and Stephen Jones. He's got some work to do in his coaching staff. Look for a defensive coordinator to be Matt Eberflus, the former Bears head coach, a 7-year assistant under Jason Garrett with the Cowboys, slowly but surely filling in those holes here on that here on that coaching staff. A lot of work to do. He feels it's better to be here than in Mobile looking at college prospects.
Oh, that makes sense. We'll keep an eye on the Eberflus information. Great stuff from you, Todd. Now, more from Schottenheimer and owner Jerry Jones during their availability today. You don't want to turn this off, okay?
The starting point for me would be things that our players do well. You're always going to start with that. If your system's not flexible enough to do what your players do well, then you're probably in the wrong business. But I'm a big believer in cut splits. I'm a big believer in shifts and motions to distort things. We're going to do a great job of marrying our runs and our passes and make those look the same. I'm proud to say that 2 different times in my career as a coordinator, we led the league in rushing.
If you don't think I can't operate out of my comfort zone, you're so wrong. It's unbelievable. This is as big a risk as you could take. As big a risk as you could take. No head coaching experience. I think this might make something special. So I'm all behind what we're, to say the very least, Clarence, for your benefit, I'm all in here.
I mean, it's just wild watching Jerry kind of land the plane there and Schottenheimer sitting right next to him like this is the biggest risk. Okay, what do you make of the hire?
Did Ryan Poles say that was the biggest risk?
He did not.
Did Woody say it was the biggest risk?
He did not.
Are those guys first-time head coaches?
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah, but
See
it's
where you're
first-time
going.
head coaches that they believe in, that they think has earned these jobs, and also that other teams thought earned the job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Shay Sharp said it this morning, right? Like, are you shooting your shot at the person ain't nobody else shooting they shot at?
Yeah.
Not if you really want, not if you want a good one, right? You're not going, hey man, you know what? That's low-hanging fruit over there. I'm gonna go grab that one.
No.
That's not the way it works. And when you look at what the Dallas Cowboys have done, since Jerry Jones has said he was all in, he's been all out.
Yeah.
All out on getting the best players, all out on at least searching and vetting the best coaching candidates. And if you are a coach, would you want to go to this place that roster seems pretty strapped and that you know the owner and GM is going to have a huge say on what goes on?
Yeah, the risk is not that Brian Schottenheimer hasn't been a head coach. See that all the time with head coaches. The risk is that he's been a part of this offense, and the offense, I think we all agree, hit a wall before Dak Prescott got injured this season. Now, it should be noted, Mike McCarthy was the play caller the last couple of years. So I do think Brian Schottenheimer has an opportunity here to prove that he has evolved as a play caller. And I will say, There was a period with Seattle where that offense was incredibly explosive. But then that offense also hit a wall with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And I think that is my concern here is, does he have that ability to adapt over the course of the season? He talks about wanting to run the football. What happens when you can't easily run the football because the offensive line maybe isn't there? Those are the things we need to see from Brian Schottenheimer for me to feel confident in this offense. But that, to me, is the risk here, the lack of a proven ability to show an adaptability with an offense.
Yeah, you heard him say he wants to be a shifts and motions guy. And why wouldn't we have seen that before? Mina pointed
It's a
out.
great question. I mean, he's been on the staff. He's like, I believe in cut splits and distorting the defense. Haven't you been on the staff? So that was a little bit confusing to me. The second thing, when Jerry Jones is talking about this is as big a risk as you could take, you don't get applauded for that. You get applauded for making a good hire. You don't get wins for taking a bigger risk than another organization. I think the overall big question that I have in the whole situation, because I'm not going to talk down on Brian Schottenheimer, I have no idea if he's going to be a good head coach or not. How do you get out of the situation you're in right now?
Yeah.
You got two players that are going to allocate $130 million of cap space. And that doesn't count for trying to re-sign Micah Parsons. So, and everyone, and all you Cowboys fans are going to say, well, they're just going to restructure the contract. Great, you're going to be the Saints. You're going to constantly kick the contract down the line, and eventually it will catch up to you when the roster isn't good enough.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. I think they're in much better position than the Saints stand. Because, they're going to restructure Dak's contract for sure. But unlike the Saints, there's not a bunch of other old, aging contracts with declining players. So I do think there's still a lot of CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons are still amongst the two best players of their positions in football. You just need to hit on players, draft picks elsewhere, particularly on the interior of the defensive line and that offensive line.
Yeah, I talked to Joe Witt Jr., who's the defense coordinator of the Commanders, and he did tell me that Brian Schottenheimer is a leader of men. And I think that's one of the more underrated things when it comes to head coaching, understanding how to lead a locker room, how to get people prepared to play, and also how to motivate them to do so. I think in replacing Mike McCarthy, we want to see a difference in the X's and O's, but if he doesn't understand how to delegate, how to organize, how to get people moving and aligned in the same direction, it doesn't matter who's on the roster. It'll be a failure again for the Dallas Cowboys.
Just to that cap hit point, you saw it there, but Prescott's $89.9 million cap hit for 2025, the largest in the NFL. They can restructure it. $17 million, though, higher than the next closest, which is Deshaun Watson.